Your weather forecast says about 80% chance of down. The river is pressing price below the dam, the blue and the gray, which are the dams or the supports, and the river is getting ready to take Bitcoin down. Now, traditional markets lead Bitcoin. Essentially, Bitcoin acts as an altcoin to the traditional markets, as most of us know by this point, even down to the 1 minute and 5 minute candles. If SPX has a 5 minute green candle, then so does Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Other altcoins, they behave fairly similarly as a derivative of all that. However, traditional markets have very likely huge negative news coming out on Wednesday. The market could get tricky. I'm going to show you the two most likely things that I would expect, and as opposed to guessing which one will happen, I'm going to give you finite things to look at, just like my last video with the line of 21,300. I let you know it'll look like this if it goes below it, and guess what happened? It's exactly what happened per my Twitter post recently. Anyway, I'm going to show you what to look for and give a price path on how it will look if one or the other will play out, so you can stay in control and have a more profitable crypto journey. You ready? Let's get this Bitcoin. Looking at bare naked price here, I'm going to zoom out to the 8-hour chart, and these are origin lines essentially, going back way, way, way in time. And Bitcoin, I mean, all the way back to the beginning of time, right, for Bitcoin. And we need to notice that in the past, this was the ultimate support of Bitcoin for the first two cycles. Boom, orange line, boom, orange line. Coronavirus spilled below, zoomed back up to it. The Wyckoff dump, essentially a planned event to dump Bitcoin, took it down exactly to it. And then zooming into here recently, in roughly April of this year, 2022, Bitcoin has used that as resistance. It has gone down 1, 2, 3 origin lines down, and we're going to zoom way into there. I mean, it's important to have this context. So now we're going to go to the 1-hour chart and take a look at how price has behaved with this line. And it's simply gotten rejected from it once, twice, thrice, quattrice. Quattro. Yeah, it's 4 times now. And we can see here that the pressure is down. These are my proprietary Cosa Ribbons that help me give a visualization of what trading algos are doing, even though I'll never understand them. This helps me give a visual, even down to scam pumps like this. The scam pump went straight to my blue line. Did I see that coming? Hell no, I didn't. No one saw Bitcoin going up 10% in 30 minutes and then straight back down. All right. But it's still like it sets parameters of what is, within the realm of possibility within scamminess of bots trading Bitcoin, trying to get people out of position, tricking people, all that stuff. As the folks who do that are taking on positions in futures before they make price go that way on spot, which is exactly what this was. Had to do with the 6-month closure, but you can bet your bottom dollar before those whoever was buying this, or whichever coordinated groups of people were buying this, they took on futures longs and then bought it on spot, right? However, with all that, that's what my ribbons do. And if you wanted access to not only how to use them, but also the exact how to set them up, then in my Discord community, I offer that to my VIP tier. Links to the Discord within the community section of all my videos. And I also provide trade setups. Twitter is Cosasverdes with the number 2 afterward. I post some bomb-ass charts on Twitter, and if you work too many hours in a day to join a community and you need things done on your time, I provide 15 to 30 JPEG layups, essentially, for people who want to understand where the market's going, 15 to 30 a week, more than one a day. And also, I provide the recordings of my Cryptillion YouTube tier from Discord, the VIP, not the VIP, the Cryptillion chats. All right, here we go. Now, taking a look at this, where could Bitcoin bounce? I'm going to take, so now that we know that pressure's down, more immediate things to happen is everybody's going to be looking at this line. Okay, it's not actually a line, it's going to be a range. Everybody's going to be looking at it. So there's very likely going to be some sort of bounce here. This range is between, if it happens immediately, 19,900 and 19,600, maybe a small wick basket. So there's a $300 range here between 19.6 and 19.9, where Bitcoin is going to get some type of bounce with an extremely high probability. However, it is a $300 range, and what could happen is it could just make a lower high and then go kablam. Which honestly, right now, I mean, with Wednesday coming up, that could easily happen. So if I were a whale, and so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this is one of the top 2 most probable things that I see happening throughout this week. All right. Is I see Bitcoin is getting ready to hit it. So, I mean, it's not, it's extremely obvious it's getting ready to get hit. Now, let's go like this. And one of the, so that is very likely going to happen regardless of what happens afterward. But from that point, the top 2 most likely is I could see something to the effect of coming up to test the neckline here. So I'm going to have to make a horizontal, or maybe even getting above it, because the bad economic, very likely bad economic, traditional finance stuff won't come out till Wednesday, I think, morning. And therefore, if Bitcoin can test down and do a quick mini baby, super baby bull trap to get people excited, maybe breaking a local high here, I could see it come up to here, maybe get over this local high here, get over that local high here, but the most recent high here, I could see it coming up here on Tuesday-ish. So actually it would have to happen faster than that. I'm going to have to zoom in. So let me go like this. We got the beginning of a day there. The trading day starts right the 12th. When does the trading day start? So the trading day starts about right there is when traditional markets open. Let me move that over just a little bit. Boom. All right, traditional markets open right there, and the day ends, let's see here, and the next day traditional market opens right there. And this is probably where it's going to get bad. Somewhere between, I don't know when the data is released. It might honestly be 2 o'clock, so I might have to go to 14. But between the second and third line here is when things are likely going to start going down. So what could happen is, and so this is Tuesday's traditional market open at 9:30 a.m. This is Wednesday's traditional market open, and this is 2 p.m. when I think that data might be released. However, what we can do here is quickly go check it, and Wednesday, July 13th, the CPI is 8:30 a.m. So this is really important stuff. All right, I can delete that other line, I guess, and that's the market open. So what I could, and it's coming out an hour before market open. So I'm going to put a line right there. What I think could happen is before this line here, all right, these lines are only an hour apart, so it's essentially the same line, but I made 2 just to distinguish the idea that the news will be released and futures are open during that time, but traditional spot trade is not, right? What I could see happen as option number 1 is it comes down and starts essentially floating up, potentially until Wednesday at 8:30, and then that's when it starts heading down. And it would probably head down aggressively. And what you're going to look for is you would probably want to go back to June 18th of this year and make a line around the lows of June 18th, June 30th, and mark it here, because assuming Bitcoin gets some type of bounce off there, when it comes back to this line and goes below it, it's going to move fast. Volatility will expand heavily because everybody's going to be looking at that line. Everybody. It's going to be momentous, most likely, if that were to, what's happening. That is, honestly, that would be my best guess of what's going to happen. Bitcoin might not go all the way back up to 21,300. It might just barely break this high here. So I'm not trying to get the exact height where I'm not giving you a short signal, but I would say it's going to rival this height at 20,600, somewhere around there. So I would say it's going to get to 20,600 or just above would be my guess. So let me bring this down just a smidge. Maybe something like that. Something to that effect. There you go. And that goes up to about 21,000 or so. I could easily see that happening. And what that is a lot of times traditional markets the day before, where insiders know that there's going to be bad news and they already know they're going to start selling. What happens is, however they do it, a rally begins to get people bullish, so they trick people to take on longs, which allows the whales to take on shorts, because they can't take on shorts without people taking on longs. And if they don't trap people to take on longs, then people won't take on longs, right? And so that's what that would do on Tuesday. So be very cautious. Even though things are very bearish, there's no real reason to be bullish right now at all. However, at least on the short-term time frames, maybe on any time frame, it's looking pretty bad right now. Honestly, I will stand by this statement. Right now, there is no reason to be bullish on anything in crypto or even traditional markets, really. At least the indices. There might be, obviously tickers that I don't know of. But anyway, so be very careful of a rally on Tuesday because it could go a little higher than what you're thinking. And it could sell off really fast. So if you're thinking things are bearish now, which it is, the trend is your friend, which it is, but essentially scam pumps happen that break the trend just for a little bit and then follow the trend to make it hard to get in position. It's not going to be easy. And what I can say, though, is I think volatility is getting ready to... It feels like it's getting ready to expand, and it's probably going to happen this week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And it feels like it's going to be down, but here's the key. This line right here. This line is the key. If this line can hold up, there is a chance that volatility could take Bitcoin up. I'm all sweaty and nasty looking. I was working concrete a little bit today, on and off throughout the day. So I redid the entrance to, essentially the entry patio to my house. Ripped out a bunch of stuff and laid a bunch of concrete. So equivalent of like, I don't know, maybe 50 to 80 bags of 80-pound concrete or something. All right. So that is the what and why that would happen. Okay, things coming up, and again, traditional markets, they literally trade off of news, as weird as that is. Economic data news, that's what happens in the traditional market. It's all about that. And people are literally, on multi-million-dollar trading desks listening to Jerome Powell speak and making trading decisions based off of what comes out of his mouth sentence to sentence. It's literally to that effect. All right, and Bitcoin, unfortunately, follows that almost identically, but we have some clear set parameters. I cannot give you just one level because this is an ascending or descending this way, but it's an ascending line. So the line will change depending on when it gets there. So I'm asking you kindly, well, maybe I'll punch you in the face if you don't draw this line, right? No. But I highly suggest you make this line. You don't have to make it a rotated rectangle like I have, but if you do make it one single line or a line, you might draw two lines. Kind of like here's one line, I have two orange lines here, because there is sort of a range there to which it can go down. You probably would be better off with a range, an ascending range, okay? And the other thing that I could see happening is something way more bearish than this. I don't see much bullishness happening, but I told you I'd tell you the two most likely scenarios here. I could see, so it's going to very likely come down here. And I could see just a baby pump up, and then it goes here, sideways, until the news comes out, then tank. And that would be my second guess of what's going to happen right there. And in my very, very last video, I had a box right here. This box. And I drew almost, and if you don't believe me, you can go back to that video, my very last video. Not the one on the canoe, but I drew this almost exactly when price was back here. Because it would come down, get rejected. And after I drew it with like 3 or 4 rejections, I redrew it saying, it might not get rejected that many times, but it certainly did. Like, it almost looks identical, right? So I'm trying to give you price paths so you can see how it's going to move, or anticipate most likely how it will move along that line. Does that make sense? Or on the time axis, how it might move across the day of Monday night with futures being open, the futures of traditional finance and Bitcoin, right? How it could start floating up on Monday night into all of Tuesday, then start dumping. Perhaps like it could go up Monday night and Tuesday night. It's possible, and that's what that other price path, the first price path that I drew, would be. If big whale games. However, I'm kind of thinking that things are so bearish right now that there might not be what some people call a scam pump. There might not be a fake out to the upside direction because there might be too much pressure down. So these would be my two best guesses of how price behaves over the next 72 hours. But I'm going to give you two other options that are less likely. However, it could easily happen. So I could see Bitcoin. Let me get rid of these. Let me drag these down a little bit, move them over here, and I'll put them back here in a bit. All right. I could potentially see, it's very unlikely, but I could see Bitcoin putting in time here and maybe reacting to the news, climbing back up, and then trying to get back up to this origin line way up at 22.7. But it's all going to depend on not using this line that I've asked you kindly, or I can punch you in the face. I've asked you to draw. It's going to have to be used as support. And if this line is ever used as resistance, similar to what I drew last time on that 21,300 line, right? It would bump its head as resistance, and this is out of play, right? Right now, what I just drew, it's completely improbable, but it's the most bullish thing that I could see happening. However, I don't see a scenario. What I don't anticipate happening is this bullish, which one was it? This bullish fake out, so it's momentarily bullish. I don't see this happening and then getting continuation after Wednesday. I specifically don't see that. If you see price starting to get volatile to the upside and having a good pump, I think that increases the chances that it's a fake pump. It's a fake out. It heavily increases. And if Bitcoin were to eventually get bullish, it's going to have to put in time, as opposed to going up fast, which makes it more likely to be a scam pump. It's going to put in time here, testing these local highs, testing, getting rejected from it, putting it in time, maybe crashing a little bit, coming back up, not using this line. See that orange line? Not using it. It's okay to go below it. Hell, it could go way down here. But when it comes above, it's got to come above it without using it as resistance, and then it could come up. It'll have to put in its time. If anything, will be bullish-ish throughout all of July. It's all about this line. Going below it is not a death sentence. It's when it comes back up to test it is the trick. All right, so keep an eye on that line. And the fourth, so this is not probable, but this is roughly how it would behave. And again, the key to that is, if it's going to be bullish, it won't be this aggressive. If you see it become aggressive like this, so this is mildly aggressive to the upside, it's extremely likely to be a fake out. Am I making sense? All right. Now, something that isn't totally improbable, honestly, is that there is no significant lower high before Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. So that's when that very likely bad news is going to come out, right? So imagine it just stays here and goes under. It could just be bearish until then, because big money, I mean, they might already. So the insiders who create these fake, these pumps and stuff with a lot of money, and they know politicians and all that, so therefore they know before we do, which is why fake outs can happen. But it might be so bearish of news that they already are aware of, okay, that they're trying to get rid of stuff now, and it's so bearish that no bull trap is going to happen. I'm kind of feeling that might be what happens. So I would not. So this one right here is probably not my top guess. A big bull trap or a baby bull trap is not my first guess. It might be my second guess. I think something more reasonable, though, would be something to this effect, where it's not a super significant lower high. It does not break any recent local highs, and so it doesn't. So, for example, over the next 72 hours, price would not go over this level right here, which is 20,700 and change, roughly 20,700, 20,800. I think over the next 72 hours, Bitcoin will not go over that level. So now I'm giving you look at me now. I know my charts are sexy, but look at me real quick. I'm sweaty, and I think, look at my hands. They're all gross. I've been working concrete. Anyway, yeah, they are. Maybe I should have washed my hands before making this video. I haven't put my hands in my mouth, have I? All right, anyway, but I think things could get more bearish than this behind me here. So actually kind of forget what I was getting ready to say, but let me draw this out. What could happen is Bitcoin goes below this, tries to work back in it, kind of goes above, goes back below, never truly uses it as resistance, then at the very end makes a little scam pump, when trading hours aren't in session, like early in the morning, and to get people out of shorts, essentially. So this wouldn't be a scam pump, a bull trap. It would be exchanges, essentially getting people out of shorts or bots or whoever, and then it comes down, and then it comes down aggressively. Something to this effect could easily happen too, and this would be, I think that is not an improbable scenario where Bitcoin simply comes down to here and doesn't really bounce off of it. I would be expecting that as well. So again, this important line that I'm talking about, it begins at at Bitcoin's low for this year of 17,600 or so, right? That happened back on June 18th, and then you connect the lows after that, and then it makes a straight line, right? Two dots makes a straight line. I strongly suggest you make that area very important for you. Make it on your chart. Now, if I can go to a chart that has a little bit more noise on it here, so we can see, take a look here. So I have this line here. Okay, see that? I have a line, and what you could do on your chart, if you're not doing a rotated rectangle, you can copy it and just drag it down like this to make that range. You see that? So now you have a range to work with. Anyway, what this is suggesting, so and let me zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. This is the macro channel that Bitcoin has been in since the 69K top, right? So this gets all of price history, this whole calendar year, and a couple months prior. Okay, November 69K top. Every 100% of, well, not 100, 99.8% so besides there and there, 99.8% of all price action since the 69K top has been in this channel, and it is significant. So therefore, the rules of the channel should apply. But I want you to watch out for this. This honestly is this shows that a bull trap is unlikely. However, it still could easily happen, which is, I think, my second best guess here, which was the red one that was more aggressive to the upside. So here's why I think a bull trap won't happen, is because, at least on Bitcoin, is because if it comes down here, you see we're in the point of control now, right? Well, if you come back up, yeah, you can go above the point of control a little bit, but not by much. I mean, you'll hit the point of control as resistance and then maybe wick above to 20,200. So this is saying once it comes down here, right, that it's not getting back above 20,000, I guess 300 at best. So let me zoom in there. But it's even more likely to get rejected even lower, because once you enter the point of control and you come up to the top, so the orange line, so this line right here and this line right here, okay? So this black and orange stuff is the point of control. Once you come back up, you usually get rejected by it. It could wick up a little bit to 20,000 and change, but it looks like it would just get rejected. And the rules of the ranges are you have to touch the next line down once you use a channel line as resistance. So you've gone below it, use it as resistance. So specifically after you go below it. After you go below a channel line and then use it as resistance, you have to hit the next channel line down before you have a chance of any bounce, of significant bounces. And that would have Bitcoin somewhere around 18,400. And that would be around the local lows of late June 30th. So it looks like it's going to hit over here. And this would align with Wednesday being bad news and Bitcoin getting rejected from either the top of the point of control around 20,000 even after it comes down here, assuming it does, or getting rejected from 20,200 to 20,300. So anywhere between 20,000 to 20,300 after it dives down here, it's likely going to get rejected and then go lower. And these channel rules. So channel rules aren't always followed, but the reason I think that this is a good guide here is because the significance of this channel. The channel rules, again, aren't always followed, but there is a better chance of them being followed the stronger and longer the channel is. Does that make sense? So a micro channel, yeah, I mean, the top of the channel is broken all the time because it's a micro channel and it's supposed to be used for short, very micro time frames, right? However, it looks like Bitcoin's behavior is going to be dictated by this point of control here. And even the last fake out, if I can I clean this chart up a little bit? Even this last fake out, if you'll see, was dictated by the point of control. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Look, so the fake out that we had that actually confused me because I accidentally deleted my point of control, and had I not done that, I wouldn't have been confused. I was confused on a day where Bitcoin came down all night, and exactly on the first 1 minute candle of traditional markets opening, it zoomed up after being super bearish. for I don't know how many, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, for 10 hours bearish. came straight down and turned. And so the timing of this was perfect to come down to the point of control by exactly market open and then zoom up on the first minute that market's opened. But even that fake out to the downside was, and then the pump to the upside. See, it hit the bottom, then zoomed up straight to where? The top. So these don't 100% dictate, right? Bitcoin could say, no, I'm not going to follow your rules. But usually the channel wins. So the channel's like the parent, and Bitcoin's the kid, right? So 12 and under. Well, maybe not 12 and under. Maybe now. Usually it's teenagers who do stupid shit. So yeah, it's a teenager with a parent. So Bitcoin's a teenager, and it's probably going to follow the rules. And so the more big and bad a parent is, and who whoops harder, or whatever your belief system is, how you get kids to do things, right? But the bigger and badder a parent is, the more likely it is that the kid will follow the rules. Well, this is a big bad channel going back from the 69K top. It's very likely that Bitcoin's going to follow the rules, and that's why I think there is a chance of a bull trap up to 20,000. What did I say? 700 to 20,800. I would say it's the second or third most likely thing to happen because of the channel rules. It looks like it's getting ready to fall down now. Again, what could negate all this is if I made an incorrect assumption to start off with that Bitcoin will indeed hit the first line that I tell you to draw. All right. So if Bitcoin were to bounce, so let's zoom in here. What couldn't, and I don't think this is likely, but it could happen. So look where Bitcoin is now. It is at the top of the point of control. It's trying to bounce. Therefore, if Bitcoin were to get a bounce off of this, and break a higher and break this high here, so it's got a lot of work to do. It's got to come all the way back up here to even happen. So that's 20,700. So I guess 20,700 really is the line to watch. If Bitcoin can stay above the point of control and then get above 20,700, then you have reasons to be short-term time frame bullish, I guess. There is a chance that it bounces here, but it really looks like when it bounces, it's simply going to be a lower high. Let me make myself small. So there is a chance for this, and I guess that level is at right now is at 20,000 even. But with the idea that it'll bounce some here, I think it'll simply make a lower high at a 45-degree angle, something like that, and then come into it, come to the downside, something to that effect, and then hit that area down there, which is the first thing I drew and asked you to draw. So it is possible, but if it does bounce here, it's probably going to make a lower high, but watch out, because if it does bounce and then goes over 20,700, it could be off to the races, or it could be a very, very large bull trap in crypto that goes along with the bull trap in traditional finance. So it's going to be tricky. You need to use if-then statements. I'm not making a single guess. What I'm doing in here, instead of just guessing one direction, I'm giving you precise lines and showing how price will behave so that from one moment to the next, if price approaches the next line of importance and interacts with it, then you get better information to then adjust, the probabilities of upside or downside. That's all I've done in this video. I'm not really making specific guesses on where it's going to go, but rather, well, I guess I've told you my top 3 most probable, so I technically did guess. But I'm getting more specifically, and I think is more valuable, even more valuable than my guesses, is I'm showing you the lines of importance and letting you know that if price interacts this way, then, look for this. If price interacts this way with this line, then look for that. I think that is by far the most valuable thing. Similar to my last video. If price comes up and bumps its head on 21.3 in this way, it's going down, which is exactly what happened. So please, you might want to go through this video, rewind it, and then draw the same lines that I've been working with, even though you might not know how to create a sexy channel like mine. And on my Discord, I just made a tutorial on how to make channels just like me. So again, Discord community links in the description section of all my videos. But you might want to try to pause the video and see where my lines went through and make them at least locally so you can see price dance. Click this video right here. If you still don't know how to set up a chart like mine, I made a Tradingview tutorial just for you, and click here. If you're a person whose altcoins are going down and you think you can make your money back by futures, I have some tips for you that you're not going to hear anywhere else, and it's probably tips that you don't want to hear, but I promise it's what you need to hear. You just got Timified Worldwide. Peace.